Hair is drenched. I'm just gonna have to, that's why, one of the reasons I'm sitting out here. It's like, let's let the hair dry via the natural convection of heat. By the way, for any early adopters or early watchers, hair tip coming through. You ready for the hair tip? Never brush your hair, okay? When it's like this, wet. Never, okay? Don't do it. It's pointless, okay? It's silly. Don't do it. It will break your hair and make your hair frizzy as fuck, okay? Hello, what's up, Abby? I was getting worried that I forgot to hit the public thing. Mods out. Good morning. This is your wake-up call. Medication time, gentlemen. Medication time. Comb your hair and clean your room. My hair, I was just telling people right now, my hair's wet because I got out of the shower, right? You do not brush your hair when it's wet. It will rip your hair all the way out and you'll have frizzy hair because of it, because you're breaking a bunch of your hairs. You wait for your hair to dry or you use a blow dryer. I don't recommend that either though. Just let your hair dry. For me, it might take all day. Like by the time I go live on Deep Fat Fry, my hair will still be wet. And that'll be an hour and change from now, hour and 40 minutes from now. Dude, Fresno is actually great right now, dude. High of, you guys are gonna be bowled over today. High of 91 today. It's like a tropical paradise over here today. If I wasn't working today, my ass would be planted out here all day. Guaranteed. Guaranteed. It has been forever since it's been livable outside in the shade. Like today is the day to be outside. 91, that's nothing. It's nothing. Like I said, that's like a tropical, that's like Hawaii weather here. 91, bro. Bone chilling 95. Ooh, better bundle up. You might want to get a windbreaker. It's crazy. Man, these cats, bro. You hear them? Wow. It's like mating season up in here. Well, it's mating season 24/7, 365 in this neighborhood because it's just like stray cat central up in here. My wife and I have counted like 12 of them, at least. 107. Yikes. Yeah, dude, like straight up, I came outside because I slept in today. I woke up, I think at like 11. And I came outside expecting that big furnace blast of heat. And I came outside and it was nice. And I was like, what the fuck? And I looked at the weather today and I was like, of course it's a work day. Of course it's a day where I've got to be at least probably 6 hours sitting in my fucking desk. Of course. But I think this whole week is supposed to be lower 90s, so I think this will be the lowest of them. I think it's going to creep back up to like 95 tomorrow, but still, 95 is all right. I don't even care about humidity, bro. Well, to a certain extent. If it was like Louisiana humid up in here, then this wouldn't feel great, but a little bit of humidity and 91, dude, I could sit out here all day. Dude, I was out here before I went in and showered in my underwears, dude. Just sitting here in my underwear, shirtless, just like soaking up the sun. Like, fuck. Like a big battery, like, bzzz, I'm like a solar panel. Like, oh, give it to me. I want the rest of my body to be the same color as my arms, because you guys want to see something funny. You see that right there, right? Pretty fucking pale. You know what I mean? Like, it'd be cool if like the whole of me was one color. Farmer's tan alert. Farmer's tan alert. I started to play through the Phantom Liberty, or did I? I did. I played through it. Yeah, it was good. Excuse me. I remember I started a playthrough. I don't know if I finished it. I think it might be time for me to do another Cyberpunk playthrough. We'll see. Get some sun today. You can get some sun on your buns today because it's not scorching hot. What do you think? What do you think about that, Z? I think that's a good idea. As you command, my lord chair, it will be done. You pooping again, D? You got double poops? Double dump Dinor. Squeezing one out for all the homies. Oh shit, earthquake in LA, huh? Well, you guys are used to that shit. How bad did it feel? I mean, it probably registered here if it was big enough in LA. We usually feel a little bit of movement. Your whole house shook? Damn. So that's probably like a 5. If it was shaking your whole fucking house. How long did it last? Was it a couple seconds? 30 seconds? A minute? If it was a minute. Happened in Pasadena. Yeah. That's right along the Andreas, so that makes sense. Yeah. I didn't notice it here, so it must not have been super deep. A couple seconds, yeah. You better be careful, though, because that might be a pre-shock. That might have been a small slip presaging a big slip, so I'd stay fucking safe if I were you for the rest of the day. Because sometimes that'll happen. I mean, California residents know. Sometimes an early, like, little timber of a couple of seconds will turn into a fucking minute long. We're all in the parking lot now because they decided it was good to remind her to do a drill. Yeah, yeah. And it's probably, like, safe. Within a few minutes of that happening, you really got to be careful. Because if it felt strong, but it was only a couple of seconds, that might have been like a pre-shock. Yeah, I didn't feel it here, so I'm guessing it wasn't super, but if you guys were feeling it and it shook, I bet it's 5. 5 is usually when people like will say it shook my whole house, shook the windows, made things and hanging from the ceiling, you know, like ceiling fans do this. That it requires about a 5 for people to remark on it that much, and that's a pretty big fucking earthquake anywhere in the world. 5. 4.7. Yep. Got that Paul's ego scale, man. Now, California people can usually tell you what's what with a fucking, with an earthquake. We've been through them. I remember my family, when I was a teenager, went to Disneyland, and I was injured. I had plantar fasciitis, so the meat and cartilage of my heel separated from the bone, so I couldn't walk on my left foot. So I had like not a cast, but my foot wrapped up, and I had crutches. And there was a pretty big earthquake that morning. Everybody in my family felt it except me. It rolled me out of bed, and I just like I went back to sleep on the ground. And because we were staying at a hotel that was walking distance to the park, when we left the hotel to walk across the street, there was like a crack in the sidewalk from it, and my parents were afraid like when a earthquake like that happens, they might shut down fucking Disneyland for repairs or inspections or whatever. Nope. We went right in and rode everything. Nobody cared. It was like a big enough fucking thing to knock a big fat teenager out of bed and crack the sidewalk, and Disneyland was like, business as usual, everybody. We're fine. It felt more like 10 seconds to you. It depends on where you're at sometimes too. You know, you're talking about slippage in a fault. So where you are in relative to that slippage is going to dictate like how strong you feel the movement and for how long. So if it felt like 10 seconds to you, that means you're probably farther from the epicenter. Does the past due mega quake that is expected to hit the west coast out of our continent scare you? No, not really. I mean, you know, I was 8 years old when the San Francisco quake happened. I think it was in 88 or 87. It might have been 86. I can't remember. I would have been 6, 7, 8 in that zone. And I remember it shook our living room for over a minute in the valley. We're 180 miles, give or take, from the Bay Area, and it shook our living room for over a minute in the valley. Like, I remember our ceiling fans going like this. And that one was devastating. That one killed a bunch of people, destroyed a bunch of fucking infrastructure in the Bay. That was the worst. It was the worst, like, West Coast quake of my lifetime. And it was pretty awful. Woo. Your thoughts on the September 4th debate? I'd be worried if I was a big Kamala person. Debate is her weakest point, I think. And she has a lot of weak points. And I think debate is probably where she has the hardest time. It's definitely like kind of the same problem they had with Biden. You know how some of his advisors were like, you never know which Biden is going to show up? You know, I think it's kind of like that with her. I think she could do okay as long as she fields the questions properly and manages to parry Trump's attempts to make her mad and stuff properly, while taking advantage of opportunities to make him mad. I think that if she goes into it with that strategy, I'm going to play off of this guy's bluster, and I'm going to look like the level-headed candidate, and I'm going to make him look like the deranged weirdo, right? If she can fucking pull that off, it goes well. If she gets flustered, angry, plays into his game, and make no bones about it, Donald Trump is very good at this, very good at getting under people's skin. He's accomplished on the debate stage when it comes to that. Flustering people, he'll just outright say shit that's not true to make people like stutter step in their prep and shit. So you can't underestimate Trump on the debate stage. He's bona fide. Trump's act is kind of worn out. I mean, unfortunately, it's not worn out for about half the country, half the voting country anyway. It plays just fine with about 50% of people. So you can see a person walking down the street, flip a coin. Kamala or Trump? I don't subscribe to the duopoly. I'm an American citizen that refuses to vote for my oppressors, so I vote for neither Democrat nor Republican. I don't support genocide. I don't support militarism. I don't support border fascism. I don't support exploitation in the third world. I don't support monkeying with other countries' elections and problems. I don't support any of the shit that Democrats and Republicans are concerned with. So I'm a leftist. I'm a labor leftist. I support unions. I support blue-collar people getting a bigger slice of the pie that they make and bake. I support the power of organized labor despite what your politics are. That's what I support. That's my politics in a nutshell. So I support workers. I support union laborers. I support the people that need support in this country. Immigrants that want to work. Migrants that want to work. Those few but numerous people, a small minority of people who can't work, those sorts of things, right? That's where my heart and my politics lie. Local number 254, glass molders, pottery, plastics, allied workers. AFL-CIO, baby. What's your stand on illegal immigration? I think that this country has been ever enriched by people migrating to it. I believe that America is a country of immigrants. And I feel like our hypocrisy at the border, keeping these people out and otherizing them as if they're causing problems in this country when the problems are floating down from the top. Let's put it that way. Also, I think it's something like 75 to 80% of quote unquote illegal immigration into the United States happens via airplane. It's visa overstays. So this idea that there's like trillions of just like criminals pouring across the border is just old school fucking political class division to get people fucking hating other blue collar people instead of the rich oligarchs that are running everything. Do you believe trans women should be viewed as women? Not only do I believe that they should be, I view them as women. My ancestors were from Canada. Cool. You heard what happened in the UK? Yeah, like the racist kind of riots and stuff that were going on over there. Pretty wild. How do you think we could help the working class while also maintaining a balanced tax rate? Do you believe that all companies should have a union regardless of personal preference? Yeah, one big union, right? Ultimately, now we're in a state where labor advocates need to make that argument, right? Yeah. Do I see a future where when you get a job, you get a union card? Absolutely, that would be great. One big union, that would be fucking fantastic. But that's not the way it is now. Labor advocates have to make that argument to people, and it's much better, for people to understand that that's where their political power lies. So that's part of the process of being a labor advocate, is convincing people that their labor is powerful, but only when it's combined with the labor of others. What force on earth is weaker than the paltry force of one? But the union makes us strong. Solidarity forever. Solidarity forever. Do you think Black Americans deserve reparations? I was thinking about this the other day. I was a guest on DP, and we briefly talked about Ghazi Kodzo, who is in prison now, and apparently was a documented Russian agent. But that was a big part of Ghazi Kodzo's platform, was reparations for Black people. I think it's, what was it, 30 acres and a mule, right? Is what they were promised and not delivered. 30 acres and a mule. The price of 30 acres and a mule right now has got to be fucking like $1 million, right? So it's like every naturalized Black person in America gets $1 million. How many Black people are in America, right? That's the first question. And I think that the answer to that is something like 3 million-ish. So you're talking about 3 million people or something getting $1 million. That sounds like a lot of money, but when you take into account the budget and the ability for us to close tax loopholes and raise revenue, I think it's doable, and I think it would go a long way to, at the very least, giving opportunity to people who are still kind of locked in these no-go kind of ghetto zones by economic fucking means and redlining and all of this shit. I think it would give people at very least an opportunity to escape their means. It's closer to 40 million. Oh, okay. Well, my math skills suck then. That's a lot more fucking money. 3 million Blacks. Yeah, sorry. Dude, don't judge me too harshly on my fucking math skills. I went 300 million and then I went like 10%. And I somehow arrived at 3, okay? So we're looking at $40 trillion to give everybody $1 million. That's a lot of guap. That's a lot of guap. Right. The idea of 30 acres and a mule is an honest chance at having a home and a life. So we should give Black people homes, yeah. So that's probably like more attainable, right? It's like the idea of 30 acres and a mule was the idea that a Black person could go out, farm a piece of land, they own something, they could sell it to someone else. They have autonomy now, right? They have a chance. They have something in life to build on. So if we take it to mean that, instead of actually holding it to the original language of 40 acres and a mule or 30 acres and a mule, whatever it was, right? And we say we give black people enough money to, or we give them a home and enough money to start themselves so that they have autonomy, they own something, right? They could sell the home, they could do whatever they want with the home. It's not gonna make things better for everybody, but it would give opportunity, right? So let's say, what's a home cost now, right? $150,000, 180. Let's say 180 grand. So somebody do the math. $180,000 x 30 million black people. 2,000 square feet and a Bitcoin. There you go. Somebody do the math on that. 180 grand x 30 million. 5.4 trill. Now we're talking, right? Now we might be able to fucking make that happen. That's not 40 fucking trillion dollars anymore, right? And I think it could do a lot of good in this country, honestly. I'd rather see $5.4 trillion over the course of 10 years invested in the black community and lifting people out of generational fucking poverty and shit. I'd rather see it go to that than overseas to a war. Well, see, that's the thing. People are like, oh, homes are 500K, homes are this, homes are that, right? There would have to be some sort of fucking national action where it's like the government fucking purchases some of these homes and lets them, you know what I mean? Like we're going with 180 grand. It's going to be like eminent domain type of shit. The landlord class, the fact that banks own entire fucking swaths of cities now and those houses are just sitting empty while people are homeless, that ain't working. What a ridiculous notion. Reparations? Yeah. Somebody earlier was like, that's going to drive white Republicans crazy. And look, there's one in there just going nuts at the very idea. Chill out, homeboy. All right, black people are going to, the boot's firmly on their neck. Okay? Don't worry. We're talking fantasy bullshit. Black people still got your boot right here. Okay? I didn't ban him in case he was joking. Yeah. Well, I'm responding to him in case he's not. I know, dude. The triple laughing emoji, immediate pwnage. Are we getting it? Please acknowledge me, Paul. What are you even talking about, bro? Are we getting what? Paul, do you think the religious are crazy for thinking there might be an afterlife? Crazy? No. No, I think it's a way, I mean, like, that would just mean everybody's crazy, right? So maybe that's true. But if everybody's crazy, then nobody is. No, I don't think that you believing in something that honestly can't be proven or disproven as a way of augmenting your life philosophy, I don't think that's a sign of craziness. I think it's fine. I do think that it can be craziness when you get into certain types of religious adherence, certain levels of dogmatic belief. Extreme. Extreme. Do you think Native Americans, the Chinese, or the Irish should get reparations? No. Well, maybe Native Americans, but I think that, like, better reparations for Native Americans would be some sort of law forcing the tribal leaders of the remaining Native American sovereign nations to equally distribute the revenue that comes from those fucking lands. Let me explain to you what I'm talking about. I lived across the street when I was a kid from a lady who was on the tribal council for the Chukchansi tribe in California. And Chukchansi, the tribe, has a big Vegas-style casino on their tribal lands. Okay? And the lady I lived across the street from lived in a pretty normal family house. She was across the street from my normal family's house. But she drove like a Mercedes-Benz and had motorcycles and this and that and this, right? She was rich. On that reservation, on the Chukchansi reservation in California, there are people that are living without running water. So explain that to me. Explain how that is an equitable fucking deal for a native person born onto a reservation. You're poor, and the other members of your tribe are so fucking rich they don't know what to do with their money. So I think that there are ways to solve tribal problems without reparations. But each one of those would have to be looked at independently, right? That's my kind of position on it, is that each one of those would require an independent look. Do black people deserve reparations, and what form would that take? Do Chinese people deserve reparations? What form would that take? Do Japanese people deserve reparations? What form would that take? Do Native Americans deserve reparations? What form would that take? Each one of those is a different question.
I thought Japanese people already received some reparations.
Did they?
Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, I didn't know. People like to pretend that casino money is spread out to everyone on the res. It isn't. It isn't. It employs people from the res, and not enough to cover the entirety of the res, and then nobody else gets a slice of shit. If you don't work for the casino, you get no money out of the casino. And if you do work for the casino and you're a tribe member, chances are you're dealing blackjack or sweeping up the bathrooms or something. So it's not like you're making good money. You see? I saw this happen. I saw this structure. Like, it's not a theory of mine. I saw this happen. Like I told you, my next door neighbor was on the Chukchansi Tribal Council, and she had money. She didn't work. She was gone a lot on vacations, had expensive toys, expensive cars, sent her kids to college, the whole nine. You know, I don't think she was like Jeff Bezos rich, but she was rich. All because she sat on the tribal council that oversaw the distribution of funds of that fucking casino. And on that same reservation, people were living in trailers with no running water, no sewer. Generational poverty in the shadow of a giant Vegas casino. Tell me that makes sense.
Japanese Americans received the reparations in '88.
Okay. That's cool. Yeah, so that's a template, right? What did they receive? So Japanese Americans at that time were given what?
It was the people that were alive when the law was passed.
Sure.
So not all of them.
So the people that suffered from the internment camps.
Yeah.
What were they each given?
So each surviving internee 20,000, which would be equivalent to 44,000.
44 grand. It's not great, but I mean, it's something though. It's a template, right? It shows that there is a fucking mechanism in the government, because how many Japanese Americans did that cover? Do you have that number?
It says 82,200.
See, that's way lower amount than talking about giving reparations to black people, because the amount of black people that were alive during slavery is nearing zero, right? They'd be 100 years old or more now, even if they were born right at the end of slavery. So they'd be way over that. They'd be, never mind. So there's nobody alive that was a slave anymore.
But there's other reparations cases of like discrimination, like before the Civil Rights Act.
Right, we're talking Jim Crow, we're talking the Southern strategy and all of that shit. Right, so I was trying to go through it earlier when you were inside. It was like what black people were promised, and the basis of a lot of reparations argument is 40 acres and a mule, or 30 acres, I can't remember, it's 30 or 40. And that would be over $1 million now. And to give 30 million black people in America, that's the number, $1 million is like $50 trillion or some shit. It's absurd. So it's like, I think the spirit of 30 acres and a mule was, we're going to give you something that you own and that you could farm and use to support yourself and live.
So you would probably want to compensate those that were victims of redlining.
Well, see, how do you make that decision?
Yeah.
That's the thing, is like, you could make an argument that every black person alive in the United States right now that is a naturalized citizen has suffered some level of discrimination from the powers that be, cops, civil organizations, whatever the fucking case may be. That argument would be made in front of the Supreme Court. And so I don't think it's wildly out of wing to say, like, okay, so let's take the spirit of 40 acres and a mule, which was back then when land was more abundant than anything. I mean, the West was still wide open. That's what a man or a woman needed. Because look, if you've got land, you've got something you can sell. Let's say you don't want the land. You don't want to farm it. You can sell it to somebody who does and move to a city. Right? So if we take that spirit and we go like $180,000 for a house, for a home that you own outright.
Well, or at least like down payment.
No.
No.
Because a 40 acre, if we're going to honor the spirit of 30 acres or 40 acres and a mule, that they have to be given something that they can decide what to do with. They now have a stake in the United States. They have a place that nobody can gainsay. They can call it home. Maybe we do a big national program to help job placement. They would obviously have to come with a big national, like, real estate reclamation, like / eminent domain kind of law, where it's like these banks get bought out. But $180,000 x 30 million people would be $5 trillion something dollars, and that's doable.
Yeah, I think the reason why the Japanese American reparations passed is because it was so few people.
Right. Ultimately, I mean, if we did the numbers on that,
roughly cheap.
It was probably 20 or 30 million to pay everybody off. 5 trillion is a lot, but I think it would heal a lot in this country. It wouldn't solve all the problems. It really wouldn't, because the problems are like problems of people that are kept in these like no-go zones via redlining and police action and lack of fucking opportunity and shit. They have problems other than they just ain't got money.
But I feel like it might be more like, it'd be easier to pass targeting certain groups within the black community, like those that were unfairly arrested, those that were denied loans.
Yeah, I mean, it'd just be so hard to quantify. Because, like I said, every black person could make the argument, maybe with the exception of just a few, maybe that were born into but even those, even people that were born into privilege, if you talk to them about the experience of being black in this country, I can almost guarantee you they've been discriminated at some point or profiled. And it's like, what level of egregious profiling, discrimination, redlining constitutes reparations at that point? You know, like it would be hard in my mind, maybe not impossible, but hard in my mind to separate out this black person from that black person, with the stipulation being, have they experienced discrimination? You'd have to decide, like, have they experienced discrimination to X level? And I don't know that that would be fair.
Well, I mean, there's also the issue of definitions.
Like what?
Like, how black do you have to be?
Right. Right.
We have a very broad definition in the U.S.
True. That's one that you could do even like one day. Just want to meal prep, just make it, don't make it, freeze it. And then all we would have to do that, it would be like throwing in a pizza. You know what I mean? Just throw it in frozen and let it come up to temperature and bubble and bake and all that. Great. Yeah, buddy. Red Robin, yum. Yeah, it's not indicative of other tribes, especially out west. Well, I have knowledge of tribes out west, and there is profound poverty on most every reservation in the west. Do you see how many comments are going by, bro? If I read every comment, you know, I do nothing but read comments. I understand wanting to give black people reparations. I 100% agree with that. If all poor people, no matter the color of their skin, were helped, I think something like that would be easier to pass, maybe, yeah. Is that your mom on your shirt? Yeah, that's her. I love my mama. Don't you? Don't you love your mama? Paul, why did the founding fathers want American people to be armed come hell or high water? Actually, I lied about this is a picture of the Prophet Muhammad, Malaikum Salam. Peace be upon him. Probably better to invest in communities than just cut everyone a check and decide who qualifies for it. It probably would be, yeah. I would imagine so. Ham, salami, bacon, my brother. Yeah. Bacon, salami. I think the question about how tribes disperse resources is separate from if they are due reparations from the society that committed genocide against them. I think that needs to be addressed. Yeah. Should learning about a person's personal American ancestors be a part of school curriculum? Asking because I recently learned about slave trader ancestors. I have my family lineage. It would be cool. And now that it's like available, it would really get kids invested. Like this is my great 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 grandfather. This is my, here's where I came from. Yeah. The sad part of that is that for little black kids in America, the answer to that is lost because 3 generations of their family were enslaved and given different names, so they don't know. And that's part of the kind of sadness of being a black American, is that like you don't know. You can only really trace your ancestry back a couple of generations, and then it's all just kind of like fuzzy. I think it would be a cool idea, but I think it would exclude a lot of kids, and it would probably add to bullying and stuff, unfortunately. With a proper fucking educational system, it could work, but we don't have that, so, we don't get that. Yeah, I know a lot about my family lineage going way, 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 way back. Pretty cool to know that, Part of investing in poor communities should definitely be comprehensive overhaul of education. Yes, that would have to be part of it. Education needs to be stripped completely down to its bare bones and rebuilt. Public education is broken fundamentally. I was a employee of the public education system for 8 years, and I got to see more than most people did, as far as like how money was distributed throughout the district, who was taking the lion's share of that money and where it went. And what I found is that a lot of rich people served at the district level. The superintendent, the little subsidiary kind of boss people at the district level made high 6-figure type salaries, mid 6-figure salaries, and then everybody else was getting paid dog shit. That's how it works. And the kids get dog shit. The kids are sitting in rat-infested fucking portable classrooms that were meant to be turned into permanent buildings, but 30 years ago weren't, and so now they're just like living in these fucking ratty, shitty, dusty, dirty fucking portable classrooms, while the fucking superintendent is bringing home $600K a year with a vehicle stipend, and he's driving around in a fucking Mercedes. It's fucked. Which would you recommend, 23andMe or Ancestry? You need both, if you really want to know. I've done both. And I was able to trace my family lineage back a long fucking way. What's your opinion on modern American policing? There should be more accountability. Yeah, the 100% no excuses, body cam, dash cam. Every interaction with a citizen is taped, filmed, and scrutinized. That would fix 99% of the problems with policing. If you look at like places that have instituted body cams, reports of like police misconduct and shit are down 90%. I mean, it's fucking crazy. So just absolutely 100%, every interaction with a citizen is filmed. As a kid, my classmates and I always liked our superintendent because he was the only one smiling. As an adult, I know why he was smiling. Yeah. Of course he had a grin from ear to ear. He was scalping that fucking school district. I'm lucky I have old journals and Bibles from my family dating back hundreds of years. That is really neat. I gotta go. I'll see you guys. Don't miss onion nuggets tonight. It's in about an hour on the Deep Fat Fried channel. Go check it out. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.